Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for a video which will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the poetry discussion playlist, but number two, this is going to be the 16th in a 274-part series, journeying poem by poem through Sylvia Plath's The Collected Poems, edited with an introduction by Ted Hughes. The poem in question today is known as Street Song. This is one that I have zero interactions with before today, and I've done my due diligence on it. It's one of the things that I have found with going through Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath is a poet who has always been extremely difficult for me. I just don't connect with the poems on a first, second, or third read. I can't get there. I don't know why. There is something it feels to me almost the same way that imagism feels. I don't really connect with imagism, and it's hard for me to make that leap. Sylvia Plath's poems feel to me very much in that same respect. So with a lot of these poems, it's interesting that Sylvia Plath is such a monumental figure in literature, such a big name in literature, and so important, so popular, as opposed to just being literarily important, as opposed to just having depth of the reading. So, for example, William Shakespeare's poems are important. Sylvia Plath's poems are important as well. But she's also, at least from where I'm from, more popular. But I can't find anything about any of these poems thus far online. Maybe I am looking in the wrong places. I can't tell. But anyway, Street Song reads as such. By a mad miracle I go intact among the common route, thronging sidewalk, street, and bickering shops. Nobody blinks a lid, gapes, or cries that this raw flesh reeks of the butcher's cleaver. Its heart and guts hung, hooked, and bloodied as a cow's split frame parceled out by white-jacketed assassins. Oh no, for I strut it clever, as a greenly escaped idiot, buying wine, bread, yellow casked chrysanthemums, arming myself with the most reasonable items to ward off at all costs suspicions roused by thorned hands, feet, head, and that great wound squandering red from the flayed side, even as my each mangled nerve end trills its hurt out above pitch of pedestrian ear. So perhaps I, knelled dumb by your absence, alone can hear sun's parched scream, every downfall and crash of gutted star, and more daft than any goose, this cracked world's incessant gabble and hiss. I want to read it one more time, just because I think that this poem is one of those that has so much rhythm in it that it's worth hearing a second time, because I think it's easy to get lost in the words. By a mad miracle I go intact among the common route, thronging sidewalk, street, and bickering shops. Nobody blinks a lid, gapes, or cries that this raw flesh reeks of the butcher's cleaver. Its heart and guts hung, hooked, and bloodied as a cow's split frame, parceled out by white-jacketed assassins. Oh no, for I strut it clever, as a greenly escaped idiot, buying wine, bread, yellow casked chrysanthemums, arming myself with the most reasonable items to ward off at all costs suspicions roused by thorned hands, feet, head, and that great wound squandering red from the flayed side. even as my each mangled nerve end trills its hurt out above pitch of pedestrian ear, so perhaps I, knelled dumb by your absence, alone can hear suns parched scream, every downfall and crash of gutted star, and more daft than any goose, this cracked world's incessant gabble and hiss. So there's two main talking points that I have here that I want to bring up. And again, maybe you have answers to these questions that I have. These are, for my part here, merely talking points. That's one of the aggravations with doing a full read along for something like this, is there's going to be so many poems that I can't find any sources on. This poem reeks of either paranoia or anxiety. And I think that it is sort of stunning how closely those two things might resemble each other when they are done in practice. This poem is frenetic. This poem is concerned with the other. She walks out on the streets and says, I am among the commons, and they don't notice me. I have made it this way by buying only the most rational of items. Is our speaker paranoid of the common folk? Or is our speaker simply anxious and not wanting anyone's attention? I think that a great deal of the difference between paranoia and anxiety is the locus of control, or perhaps the locus of blame. If you are a paranoid individual, you fear this coming in from the other, right? I think that if you are an anxious individual, you are worried more that you will be judged, that it is you who are not enough, not that it is they who are going to attack. I think that I think that there is a small but meaningful difference in those instances. I think that it is a how do I want to say that? The difference between paranoia and anxiety. Both of these things are nervous type displays, nervous type dispositions. Paranoia insists that the other is coming to get you. Anxiety seemingly insists that I, the anxious one, am going to be targeted. Does that make sense? The difference there. That there is a real driving force in paranoia, whereas in anxiety, it is sort of a perhaps lack of driving force from within. Now, this line here that I thought I could not get over. I kept coming back to this line. It's not even just a line, it's a few phrases here in this poem. Oh, I've gone too far. Never know how far you can go unless you've gone too far. Right here. And that great wound squandering red from the flayed side. What a strange thing to put in the middle of this poem. And that great wound squandering red from flayed side. Now, it strikes me that there are really two different ways that there are two common ways, perhaps I should say, that this could be interpreted. Are we looking Eastern or are we looking Western? So obviously the Western idea is that Jesus was pierced in the side while he was crucified. The spear of destiny was thrust in his side to see if he was still alive. Would he bleed or not? So in this case, the author, the speaker, I should say, is trending towards the paranoid side. That the speaker will be persecuted. That the speaker may have to, in fact, or may have already, I should say, sacrificed the self. If the speaker is using this wound in the side to channel Christ, that is a wound of self-sacrifice. That is a wound of paranoia. There were others coming to get you. If, however, this is, like we see here, Buddha's mother birthed Buddha not through the birthing canal, but through a hole in her right side. If this is the case that our speaker is making, that our speaker is in fact the mother of a deity, or the caregiver to a deity as opposed to the deity herself, then this could be more of an anxiety triggering or poem, a poem of anxiety rather than paranoia. Because if this is the Buddha's mother in symbol, as opposed to the deity or the prophet herself, then what has happened is that our Virgin Mother is going out among the common folk and is afraid that whatever it is in her that these common folk do not have will be recognized, not that they are coming to get her as if she were the deity, but as if they will recognize that hole in themselves by seeing the hole in her side, which would be anxiety inducing. Either way, it is a very strange and strong emotion from this poem, whether it is paranoia or anxiety. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. Street Song from Sylvia Plath. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out on the channel, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not designed, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more, because there is always literary goodness to be had on the channel, and I hope to have you back for the next one. There's poetry every Mondays through this month. It will be on Monday's Sylvia Plath read-along, so consider coming back for that.